at them, y'all. It looked like Benny spit this boy out. Tiny, you got some explaining to do. Y'all, the rumors are starting with T.I. It's coming out that King is not his son.
Who the hell is he? What's your name? My name King. You know it and your mama know it. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Welcome back to Celebrity Sip Channel, where you get the best gossip on the internet. Smash that subscribe button and let's dive into the tea. King Harris has never been one to hold his tongue, but recently he dropped a claim that stunned fans everywhere, hinting that T.I might not even be his biological father. The idea alone sent shockwaves through social media, especially because King didn't just stop there. He tied this revelation to years of mistreatment, suggesting that the relationship people saw on reality TV was far from the truth. Instead of the picture-perfect father-son bond, King painted a story of distance, frustration, and resentment. And with the Harris family already being one of hip-hop's most public households, his words felt less like gossip and more like an exposed wound that people couldn't look away from. King Harris grew up in the spotlight as the child of two music industry stars, T.I and Tiny, with cameras capturing much of his childhood on the family's reality show. To the public eye, it looked like he had everything: fame, comfort, and the kind of access most kids could only dream about. But behind that glamorous exterior, cracks began to show. King was often portrayed as the rebellious one, the kid who clashed with authority and seemed restless in a household that demanded discipline, while also living under constant attention. Fans who tuned in to watch the Harris family saw playful arguments and dramatic moments that could be brushed off as normal family tension. But to King, these experiences carried heavier meaning. As he got older, his social media presence became a window into how he really felt. He began to speak more openly about his struggles growing up, complaining that people judged him unfairly because they assumed he had been spoiled. To King, the truth was much harsher. He claimed that despite living in a mansion and having access to the lifestyle his parents built, he didn't always feel like he belonged or was supported the way he needed. This sense of being misunderstood fed into the growing distance between him and his father. T.I, known for being strict and outspoken, often dismissed King's complaints, saying life would eventually teach him the lessons he refused to learn at home. That tough love approach, while common in many households, hit differently in front of millions of fans watching and speculating. King's rebellious streak only grew stronger, and he started to publicly push back against the image of being a silver spoon kid. He wanted people to believe he had earned his scars and hardships, not just coasted on the success of his family name. And it wasn't only about public perception. He hinted that the private dynamic with his father was even more strained than anyone realized. The more he spoke out, the clearer it became that this wasn't just teenage rebellion. There was a deeper sense of resentment toward how he was treated, how his feelings were minimized, and how his identity was always overshadowed by his father's legacy. These tensions set the stage for the shocking claims he would eventually make, because once a child starts questioning not only how they were raised, but even who their real father might be, it signals wounds that go far deeper than ordinary family conflict. When King Harris began speaking about mistreatment, he wasn't just venting frustration like a typical teenager. He painted a picture of growing up in a household where his voice often went unheard, where his emotions were brushed aside in the name of tough love. He recalled moments where discipline felt less like guidance and more like dismissal, claiming that instead of being nurtured, he was constantly compared, criticized, and told to be tougher than he felt capable of. To him, this wasn't just about parenting, it was about respect, or in his eyes, the lack of it. What made his claims resonate was the way he connected them to the public image of his father. T.I is seen by many as a sharp, wise, and disciplined man who built his success from nothing and became a respected voice in hip-hop. But King suggested that behind the scenes, the same intensity that made his father successful left little room for vulnerability or compassion at home. He described growing up in an environment where showing weakness was met with ridicule, where seeking comfort meant being reminded of how good he already had it. In King's mind, being wealthy didn't erase the pain of feeling ignored. Social media clips only fueled these narratives. Fans saw him clashing with his parents on live streams, visibly frustrated and angry as he tried to assert that his childhood wasn't as privileged as people believed. In one heated exchange, King insisted he wasn't raised with a silver spoon, challenging his parents in real time and pointing to struggles he claimed they never acknowledged. These moments didn't just spark gossip, they exposed the deep rift between how King viewed his life and how the world perceived it. To outsiders, his claims seemed shocking. How could someone born into wealth and opportunity speak so bitterly about mistreatment? But to King, the comfort of money never replaced the need for emotional connection, empathy, or validation. He implied that his father's approach left scars that fame couldn't heal, and that these experiences shaped the anger he often displayed in public. Critics were quick to say he was being ungrateful, while supporters argued that money doesn't buy happiness, and that trauma can exist even in the most comfortable households. What made this all the more explosive was the timing. King wasn't just airing grievances, he was linking them to rumors about his very identity. If he felt mistreated to the point of questioning whether T.I was truly his father, it suggested that the issues went far deeper than parenting style. It hinted at betrayal, confusion, and resentment that had been brewing for years, setting the stage for even more controversy about who King really is and how he fits into the Harris legacy. The claim that T.I might not be King Harris's biological father didn't come from an official announcement or a proven statement. It emerged from whispers, speculation, and the fiery words King himself dropped during emotional outbursts. Online forums and gossip pages ran wild with the idea, amplifying every int or slick King made as though it were confirmation. But in truth, the origins of this rumor are more complicated. King never sat down in a formal interview to declare he wasn't T.I.'s son. Instead, he alluded to being mistreated, hinted at not feeling connected to his father, and left just enough space for people to start questioning whether something deeper was at play. It was the combination of vague wording and raw emotion that allowed the rumor to catch fire. The internet thrives on drama, and the possibility of a hip-hop icon not being the real father of his own outspoken son was too tempting to ignore. Memes, tweets, and YouTube channels quickly turned it into a talking point, treating speculation like evidence. For many fans, though, the rumor struck a chord because of the visible distance between father and son. King himself added fuel when he drew comparisons to fictional stories of betrayal and broken families, making cryptic references that seemed to suggest more than just ordinary conflict. In the eyes of gossip-hungry audiences, every comment became a clue, every disagreement a piece of evidence. Of course, there's a critical side to this story too. There has never been any proof, documentation, or serious confirmation that T.I isn't King's biological father. The rumors remain just that, rumors. Yet the fact that King left the door open to such speculation says a lot about the level of anger and distrust he feels. Even suggesting something like that, without ever clarifying or denying it, shows how far the relationship has unraveled. And in the age of social media, a single line can spiral into a narrative that overshadows the truth. Fans started asking questions. Why would King even imply this if there wasn't some hidden truth? Was it just an exaggeration meant to hurt his father publicly, or was there really a family secret waiting to surface? The lack of clear answers kept people hooked, and the speculation began to take on a life of its own. In many ways, the rumor became less about whether it was true and more about what it revealed. King felt so alienated that questioning his own bloodline became a weapon in the war with his father. That alone shocked people, because it wasn't just about family drama anymore. It was about identity, legacy, and whether the cracks in the Harris household ran deeper than anyone expected. When King's words began spreading online, the world immediately turned to T.I for a response, and he didn't stay silent for long. Known for his sharp wit and firm stance on family matters, T.I brushed off the speculation with a mix of humor and authority. In one exchange that gained traction online, he emphasized that no matter what was being said, King was still his child, and that nothing could erase the years he had spent raising him. To T.I, the claim seemed more like a rebellious cry for attention than a revelation of hidden truth. He reminded fans that raising children isn't easy, and he suggested that King's frustrations were part of the growing pains of a young man struggling to find himself in the shadow of fame. But T.I didn't only rely on words, he leaned into his public persona as the unshakable patriarch of the Harris household. Instead of fueling the rumor, he projected confidence, even joking at times about his son's antics, as though to remind the world that nothing could shake the foundation of their family. Yet behind the humor, there was also a clear message. He wasn't going to allow speculation to define his relationship with King. Fans, however, were split. Some praised T.I. for handling the drama with grace, saying it showed his maturity and ability to rise above baseless gossip. Others, though, weren't convinced. They pointed to the tension seen on live streams, the heated arguments caught on camera, and the sharp words exchanged between father and son as proof that something deeper might be wrong. Social media became a battleground, with people taking sides, some defending King as a young man expressing pain, others dismissing him as entitled and ungrateful. The public reaction only intensified when clips circulated of T.I and Tiny attempting to calm King during public disputes. Instead of looking like a united family, these moments highlighted the growing divide, with King often standing alone in his frustration while his parents tried to downplay the situation. For some viewers, this reinforced the idea that King wasn't being taken seriously, that his complaints were always minimized instead of addressed. That perception made his claims about mistreatment, and even the shocking rumor about paternity, feel more believable to those who already sympathized with him. At the same time, critics argued that airing such private matters in public was reckless, especially for someone with a platform as large as King's. They saw his statements as attempts to embarrass his father rather than resolve real issues. Still, the buzz worked in King's favor, keeping his name in headlines and making him a central figure in ongoing discussions about celebrity families. The conversation became less about the truth of the rumor and more about the dynamic itself, a clash between a father defending his image and a son demanding to be heard. And while T.I may have hoped to quiet the speculation, the public debate only grew louder. What makes this story even more gripping is how much of it remains uncertain. For all the noise surrounding King Harris's claims, there is still no clear evidence to back up the idea that T.I isn't his biological father. No test results, no official statements, nothing concrete has ever surfaced. The entire controversy lives in the gray area of implication, emotional outbursts, and internet speculation. That's where it becomes difficult for fans and critics alike to separate fact from feeling. King himself has never fully clarified what he meant, whether he was speaking literally about paternity or using the claim as a metaphor for how distant and disconnected he feels. By leaving his words open-ended, he created a space where imagination filled the gaps. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps people talking, because the lack of closure allows the rumor to grow with every retelling. At the same time, the allegations of mistreatment are just as vague. King speaks in broad strokes about being misunderstood, being dismissed, and being treated harshly, but rarely has he provided specific stories that could be fact-checked. To some, this makes his complaints feel exaggerated, as though he's lashing out at his father without grounding his words in verifiable truth. But to others, the lack of detail only reinforces the idea that he is still processing the pain and struggling to articulate it. Either way, the absence of hard evidence leaves room for endless interpretation. Fans looking for drama can latch onto the most sensational version of events, while defenders of T.I can point to the gaps as proof that none of this holds weight. The public doesn't like uncertainty, and that's why the conversation has stretched far beyond the initial claims. Everyone wants to know what's real, but the only people who can answer that are inside the Harris family, and they haven't given the public what it craves. Instead, the silence, the half-responses, and the cryptic comments from King only deepen the mystery. Even the timing raises questions. Why now? Why make such a claim after years of public visibility? Was this a spur-of-the-moment outburst, or is there something King has been holding onto for a long time? Without answers, the speculation doesn't just stay alive, it thrives. This uncertainty makes the story both frustrating and fascinating. It's a reminder that not everything said in anger should be taken as fact, but it's also proof of how quickly rumors can become truth in the court of public opinion. And until someone inside the family decides to put the matter to rest, the unknowns will continue to fuel curiosity, leaving everyone wondering how much of King's claims are rooted in reality and how much are born from resentment. The fallout from King Harris's claims goes far beyond the Harris household. It's shaping the way people view both him and his father. For King, the controversy has become part of his personal brand. He's no longer just T.I.'s son, trying to step into the spotlight. He's the young artist whose name is now tied to one of the most explosive rumors in hip-hop families. That kind of notoriety can boost visibility, but it also comes with a heavy price. Some people see him as brave for speaking his truth, while others view him as reckless, willing to tear down his family's reputation for attention. Either way, it ensures that wherever King goes, questions about his father and his past follow closely behind. For T.I., the impact is different but just as significant. As a legendary rapper and entrepreneur, his reputation has been built on discipline, intelligence, and leadership. The idea that his own son would publicly accuse him of mistreatment and even hint at not being biologically related cuts directly against the image he's cultivated. In a culture where legacy and family pride mean everything, such claims can't be easily brushed aside. Even without proof, the controversy plants seeds of doubt, and once those seeds are in the public's mind, they're nearly impossible to uproot. Social media amplifies every twist and turn. King's livestream arguments, T.I.'s dismissive comments, and fans' divided reactions all become part of a larger narrative that neither side can fully control. And because both father and son are public figures, the drama isn't confined to private family arguments. It plays out in front of millions of people who feel entitled to choose sides. That visibility magnifies the consequences. For King, it risks overshadowing his career as an artist, making people focus more on his family drama than his music. For T.I., it risks softening the respect he's earned over decades, replacing admiration with whispers of dysfunction and doubt. Beyond the reputations of father and son, there's also the impact on the family as a whole. Tiny has often found herself caught in the middle, trying to smooth over conflicts while the public scrutinizes every move. Other Harris children, who may not want to be part of the spotlight, are inevitably pulled into the narrative, with fans wondering how much they know and what they think about the feud. The potential fallout isn't just emotional, it's cultural. Celebrity families are often put on pedestals as models of success, but when scandals like this surface, they become cautionary tales instead. King's words don't just affect his relationship with T.I., they challenge the entire idea of the Harris family's public image. And as long as the questions linger, the damage may continue to spread in ways no one in the family can fully predict. At the end of it all, the story of King Harris and T.I. leaves more questions than answers. What began as a shocking claim has spiraled into a larger conversation about family, legacy, and the blurred line between truth and speculation. King's words, whether fueled by anger or deeper secrets, had exposed the cracks in a family once seen as unshakable. T.I., for his part, continues to stand firm, refusing to let gossip redefine the bond he insists still exists. Yet the tension between perception and reality lingers, reminding everyone that money and fame don't shield families from conflict. Maybe the truth about King's claims will never fully surface, or maybe this is just the beginning of a story that will reshape how the world views one of hip-hop's most famous households. Either way, the shadow of doubt is here to stay, and it's not fading anytime soon.